So hello, good afternoon, everyone. I am Jacob, as I was already introduced by Susan. Thanks for the good try with my surname, which is very difficult, but you can just go with Jacob. I have the honor to talk today about inbound collaboration supply chain case study, and I think this session is going to be more coming a little bit higher up from logistics, more to a supply chain, broader supply chain, and collaboration. So hopefully this will be useful for your time once you come here after lunch, last session of the event. So hopefully you will enjoy that. Okay, so as Susan already did the introduction, I work in supply chain tech and logistics techs for some 20 years. I have experiences with SAP, with E2Open. I worked on multiple digitalization projects and initiatives with companies like Syngenta, ExxonMobil, Geodis, and even Maersk Logistics. And it is kind of maybe a hobby or maybe my direction to explore always how the new technologies fits to old use cases. The old painful troubles in the logistics, how can we make it better with the new technologies of either blockchain or AI and so on. So that's about it for me. My company that I work for, E2Open, maybe some of you know, is basically a software provider for supply chain collaboration platform. We have large network-enabled platform in collaboration where we have some almost 500,000 entities being connected. There's a lot of companies, large enterprises, which are working on the platform. As you can see the logos there. What is very important to mention, the platform is a multi-tenant design and nature. And I will kind of repeat it over and over throughout the 15 minutes that comes, because it very much enables the very good value designs of the solutions. We deliver multiple, or as we come kind of from bottom up, we have the network of pre-connected suppliers, logistics service providers, carriers, custom brokers, but also custom authorities or data from custom authorities that we provide through the network. We refer to that as E2Net partner network. And then on top of it, we have a classical apps, either in transportation, so TMS, in supply collaboration, some people know it as OMS, order management systems, planning and supply, as well as global trade compliance. In the world of today, where every country is issuing some new sanction list every month, this is very crucial piece of software. Today, the case study we are going to talk about is primarily about supply and logistics. But enough about the E2Open, that's what you can basically remember. What I want to talk about is a successful case study of a customer, Jabil, that we went through last 2.5 years on a digitalization journey with them. To those who don't know, Jabil is fairly large contract manufacturer for component and high-tech electronic industry. I have some more data in the next slide, where they are supplying to the automotive, to BMW, Teslas. They supplying to healthcare, to telecom providers or equipment manufacturers, as well as to the home appliances, those that you install in your smart home, that that basically enables some new ways of living. They are present in some 30 countries, have 100 factories where they assemble things or manufacture things. And I think what is very important to note about Jabil, their go-to-market is not only excelling in manufacturing, how well and relatively cost efficiently they can produce an item, a component that goes into your final device, but it's also their supply chain agility. Because you can imagine all these 100 factories, they scattered all around the world, and they have to be very quick in moving goods and components around and be kind of flexible to the demands of their subsequent customers. They have some 400 customers on their list. Now, we started to talk to Jabil maybe 2.5 years ago, and it was kind of end of the COVID era, where Jabil started to share with us their kind of learnings coming out of COVID, where they find out that they have some limits in their operation, they have some limits in their collaboration. The limits are coming into these three kind of key topics. It's the visibility, they knowing which part comes when eventually and in what quantity. And it's not only the one that comes directly to my factory, but also the part that comes to the supplier of mine, right? The tier 2 supply chain. It is the risk mitigation or perhaps risk identification and subsequent mitigation. There was the second topic, which was very crucial in their learnings after COVID. And the third one, which kind of covered it all, is really the orchestration. Orchestration of each information that is related to tier 2 supplier as they deliver to my tier 1 supplier. And we see there is some shortage. So how do I know what's the impact on my production in factory A or in a delivery to customer Z? This was a capability which they were kind of doing, but manually. They were struggling a little bit with doing it in their SAP or in their system of records. But it was kind of not the best coming out of the COVID era. They shared with us this kind of a supply chain map, may I say it this way. It's just kind of a high-level blueprint. How does it work? You can just look on some of the numbers. They are staggering. They need to manage at any point of time some 2.8 million open order lines, so inbound order lines. They have anywhere, at any point of time, anywhere around 1 billion material transactions, and they need to maintain some 375K SKUs, finished goods SKUs in their list. And why is it? Because they are actually representing supply chains of all of these 400 customers that they have, right? And I think it kind of drilled down to the very first number, the 27,000 suppliers. Jabil, because of the nature of their business, because of they win a contract with, for example, BMW for a season or two, they have to rearrange very quickly their supply chain, their routes. They need to check all the arrangements on import duties or limitations, and they have to be very quick on this. And so they end up with a large amount of what we call a long tail suppliers. So that's basically this one of the metrics they were sharing with us. Long tail suppliers. Who are these, or who were these? These are the supplier that comes only once a month, or I need to interact with this supplier only once a month, or for a period of 3 months, very intensive relationship, and then off, and then maybe I talk to them in 2 years' time. And it's not really worth it, or perhaps there is no time, or perhaps there is no capability on the supplier side to do some sort of an integrated solution with them. So they end up in this long tail. What Jabil do, or did, and many of the other customers do in the industry, it's just an email. It's just the email of 90s, which basically handles this, this piece of communication in our globalized 2020 plus world. And you can just imagine it with me, that leads, they have no traceability. Where is this part coming? What date was it confirmed last to arrive? Is there actually, instead of 100 items, are they sending us 90? So they have no traceability. They couldn't do any kind of monitoring of the supplier. They couldn't do any performance analytics, nothing. And of course, without saying, it's just nightmare, because all of your buyers, they need to just struggle with emails, perhaps with some better Excel sheets and so on. Now we came to them with our solution where we attach our supplier collaboration layer to their SAP instance. This is automatically synchronized. That's really not a rocket science. That works out of the box. But what is the key value is the last mile, I may say. It's not last mile, but the last step in the coordination. And what is the secret sauce here? You can kind of ask me. It's eventually an email still. And I will elaborate on this still in one of my next slides. By digitalizing this process, we were able to automate the communication in and out from SAP, but improve the risk, reduce the risk of not getting the right part in time, and kind of lower their in contract manufacturing for high tech, what is very important is a part shortage. I need for my order to BMW, I need 10,000 cameras, the lenses, for example, right? And if they get only 8,000 of these, 2,000 are short. So what do I do? And they need to basically deal with this situation upfront in a very productive manner. And they have this capability now to deal with the short part short management situation. Here we see kind of a very simple kind of a view, how does the application works. This screen is from Jabil's internals educational video that they gave to their own employees, how to use the platform, what does the platform mean. What we always suggest to every of the customer, not only Jabil, is to manage by exception. So that means it's really only what burns, only what doesn't work the way it works, only the things which are short, or whenever I could detect that, I will be basically being on my landing page and I need to pay attention. All these transactions, orders, shipments that flow well, I don't need to look at them as such. So that's basically the nature of the application. Here is the options of onboarding of this long tail, which I was mentioning earlier. So as we said, it's a business situation. Basically, there was about 20,000, 21,000 suppliers which were in these long tails for Jabil. We don't have any business mechanism to force these guys to connect, right? And to make them, to sweat their blood, whatever, to get some sort of an EDI. We are able still to connect them in these various manners. So we send them this email, and they can answer in the body of the email. We are able to receive it using some of our AI agents to read it out. That's not rocket science. Or we send them an email with the URL, with the time-limited token. That's for the supplier who only needs to do it once a month, right? That's maybe a packaging material that I'm buying from them, or doing the attachment directly. Still, a lot of the suppliers would also come into the portal, into the web UI as well. And here you have a kind of a last example of what the exceptions are, right? And this is a very deterministic logic. I can do max min setup. When do I need to have an alert if there is not enough quantity? We can engage some AI agent to adjust this dynamically on a given situation. And here we see basically the progress of onboarding of all these 20,000 suppliers over the span of last 2.5 years with us. So Jabil is almost finished with this project. They are very happy. They digitalized a lot of their flows and make their life much easier, as well as easier for their suppliers to some degree. But what's there next? That's not it. We still continue the collaboration, and we are now working with them on what we call implementing the global logistics orchestration process. So until now, we did this buyer-supplier relationship. We digitalized it. We brought some sort of agility into this process, digitalization. Jabil has a lot of data to do the reporting insights. Now we go one layer deeper. So it's still the relationship between the buyer and the supplier. It's still the movement physically between these two entities. But now we are giving a fragmentation on the logistics level. So we allow the suppliers to create a ship information. It could be automated, or it could be really like a classical vendor booking. And that's one. Then we take this information and synchronize it with the LSP, with the freight forwarder, perhaps carrier, whoever Jabil nominates. This is very flexible, right? They can nominate, I don't know, Kuehne+Nagel for this year, DHL for next year, because that's the nature of our platform. We can easily plug and play with this. And then what is the kind of a new thing, at least for Jabil, I know in the industry this is already established for quite a while, is the in-transit visibility, and in particular the estimated time of arrival, or predicted time of arrival. Remember, I was saying we have a lot of connected parties, but we also have a lot of historical data of transit times, of sailing times, of average routes in Europe, right? So and this is not so much of AI story, it's basically even pre-AI we were able to do that. We are able to say if a carrier gives an estimated arrival on the 20th of October, based on the historical data, based on the AIS, the real-time visibility feed, we are able to say, well, it looks like it's going to come on 22nd instead of 20th. So that's basically the journey which we are right now deploying with Jabil. There's one more element to that. That's also at the supplier side. They will be creating labels, packing labels for cartons and pallets, and that would tremendously improve the operation at the receiving side. This is basically one of the things. So just 3 key takeaways. Jabil did invest it into a strategic technology. Going forward, really for next few years, that's one thing. Second thing is they build it on a connected ecosystem, so a platform which enables them to be flexible and agile and resilient in the future. And I think the key thing is really here, they are introducing this to a multiple persona. So it's the planner, is the buyer, is the logistics operator or logistics manager who has a one single view on the reality outside of their factories, what's happening in the supply chain. Okay, so I hope this was useful. Thank you very much.